Hello, guys. Okay, so this topic is short. It's the second part of what you learned the day before, which is DNA. Now we're going to be focusing on DNA inside of organisms. So you're going to be copying the stuff that's on the red. So on your notes, you're going to copy only the red. Let's get started. So let's talk about the objective. So what are we going to be learning today? And it's here. It says, recognize the components that make up the genetic code that are common to all organisms. So we're going to just really quick review their components, which you guys already know. And you need to understand that they make up the genetic code, the genes, the genes and the DNA, and they are common to all living things. So all organisms have those same components. So I'm going to move my face over here. Okay. So these are three things you're able to know. Like when you're done with this video, you should be like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. Okay, so number one, I can describe that all organisms have DNA. That one's simple. You need to know that all living things, all organisms have DNA. Easy. Number two, I can explain how all organisms are composed of the same building blocks of DNA. So you need to understand that each organism has DNA, right? And then each DNA inside the organism has the same things, the same building blocks. Yesterday I talked about, I don't have the picture here, but you have, a circle thing, that's going to be the phosphate. Then you have your sugar, and then you have your nitrogen base. Phosphate, sugar, and base. Hopefully helps you remember. And all living things have that. And then the last thing, I can understand that all organisms share the same genetic code. So all living things, since they all have DNA, they all have the same genetic code. Okay? Now, let me give an example here. You have on the left side, you have green eyes. And then on the right side, you have brown eyes. So this is an example for somebody that has green eyes. Again, I'm just making this up, right? And this is an example for somebody that has brown eyes. If you look, what is the only difference of the DNA of somebody that has green eyes and somebody that has brown eyes? Do you see it? Is it the phosphates? Look, the circles are the phosphates. Well, this one has it, this one too. Oh, maybe it's the sugar. Well, the sugars are the little pentagons. The little, this dark blue ones. Well, this one has it too. What about the bases? Does it have bases in the middle? Well, yeah, it does have bases in the middle, but they're different. Do you see it now? This one's AT, this one's CG. This one's CG, AT, AT, GC, CG, TA. So, finish this. This is the question, right? What is the difference between a person with green eyes and one with brown eyes? So I'm going to help you out. The difference between a person with green eyes and a person with brown eyes is, so I'm going to give you the answer, but I'm trying to lead you somewhere. I want you to think, trying to kind of see what I'm coming from. The only difference is the order. Now, you have to be very careful. A lot of students mess up because the bases are different. They are not. There's the same four letters, A, T, C, and G, but they're in a different order. So that's the answer right there. So it says, the full sentence says, the difference between a person with green eyes and a person with brown eyes is the order or the sequence of nitrogen bases. Go ahead and pause this video, copy this down, I'm moving on. Okay, moving on. So here's a picture of a fly, here's a picture of a little mushroom, here's a picture of a bacteria. So you have the DNA here, DNA sequence, DNA sequence, DNA sequence of each one. So based on what I just told you on the last slide, what is the difference with the DNA of a fly, the DNA of a mushroom, and the DNA of a bacteria? They all have phosphate and sugar, they all have bases, but what is it? Let me show you. All organisms have DNA, they have a phosphate, they have a sugar, and they have a nitrogen base. But the bases are on a different order or sequence, right? Different order. Same letters, different order. Go ahead and pause the video, copy this down. Okay, so if you copy this, let's talk about the next thing here. So, since they all share the same parts, we're going to call that a common code. So I actually have something in common with you, right? Even though I'm not related to you. My DNA, my DNA has the same parts as yours, but it's just in different order. So therefore, we look different. Me and the fly, we have something in common, right? We have the same code. We have a common code. It's just in different order. Me and the mushroom, me and the bacteria, same thing. right? This stuff's not hard, okay? You already know about DNA. Now you just need to remember that everything has DNA that is living, and we all have the same code. It's just in different order. They like to actually use the word sequence a lot on the test. So make sure you remember that sequence. It just means order. Let's go here. I'm going to move my face to the bottom. Go ahead and pause the video, copy this, please. Okay, so now that you copied it, we're going to really quick talk about this. So species with the same nucleotides, that's the title, right? So all species DNA has the same building blocks. Like I mentioned, we all have nucleotides. We all have nitrogen bases. As a matter of fact, we all have the same bases. So it says here, example, all organisms have thymine, guanine, cytosine, and adenine. So me and you, same basis. Me and the fly, same basis. Me and the mushroom, same basis. But it's just in different order. And this is again, because they have similar sequencing, they share a genetic code, a common code. So here you have a picture of a bacteria. Here you have a picture of the DNA of a squirrel and a picture of a DNA of a bacteria. What is the only difference? You see it? AT, AT, CG, GC, GC, AT, AT, TA, 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 right? Some parts are the same, some parts are different. That's what we call a common code. Or you can say we share a genetic code. We have the same code, it's just in different order. Let's move on. We're actually almost done. This is a little bit more interesting. So insulin, when do you hear that word? Have you ever heard the word insulin? Maybe? In Spanish, just in case you don't know, insulina, insulin. So insulin, it's a type of medicine that you give to people that have diabetes. So let me give you some information. I don't have diabetes, so I am a normal person, right? Normal person. So when I eat sugar, my body makes insulin. Okay, my body makes insulin in my like pancreas and stuff. So my body makes insulin, so that way I can break the sugar up and use it. Because if it stays there, it's bad for me and I can die. So let's pretend that I'm a different person now. Okay, I have diabetes. That means that if a person has diabetes, their pancreas does not work and they don't make insulin. So whenever they eat sugar, it's going to stay there and the person can die. So what they need to do, they need to go and they need to inject themselves with some insulin. They take shots on their arms or something on their bellies. They're just literally shots of insulin. So my question is this: where does that insulin come from? So it comes in a little bottle, just like the picture. They, take it out of the little with a syringe, take it out, and then give it to them as a shot. So let me give you a little backstory, a little story. Back in the day, what they used to do, because actually all animals, a lot of animals make insulin. So what they used to do, every time you kill a cow to make burgers, right, for beef, they used to save the pancreas and they'll take it to a lab and then take all the insulin out. And then they'll put it in a little bottle and they'll sell it. So then now that's like super expensive, right? Because a lot of people now these days, a lot of people have diabetes. So you need a lot of insulin. So this is what they did. In order to kind of trick the system, right? They went and they took the gene from a person that makes insulin. So you have on the right side, it says human cell. So they took a little piece, just a little piece of DNA. And it's actually the gene that makes insulin. And they put it inside of a bacteria. Okay? So they put it inside of a bacteria. So they combined it. So if you look, this is a bacteria, this is a human cell. They put the little piece for insulin production gene. It's supposed to say gene here. They put them together and then they put it back into the cell, into the bacteria. So then this bacteria now has the information in the gene to make insulin. A bacteria doesn't know, but it just does it. It just kind of, literally, it just kind of poops little insulin out. So it just makes little insulin. And then we just collect it, we just grab it and put it in a little container. And then we sell it to people. Not me, but people, the pharmaceutical companies. So that's what we make it now. We actually get it from bacteria, but it's human insulin, which is the craziest part. The bacteria makes it for us because it has a gene from the human that makes it. So it actually makes human insulin. even though it does not come from humans, it comes from bacteria. Super crazy. You're gonna be watching a video about that in a second after this. So also, the question is this: why is this cutting and pasting possible? How come you can cut a piece out from one thing and then put it into the other? That's crazy, and it happens a lot. So the reason is because we share a common code, right? Or because the human and the bacteria, they share a genetic code. If you need to copy this, pause the video, please. We're almost done. So because we have the same letters, you just need to find the gene that makes that section that tells you to make a specific thing, and you put it into the other thing, and it does it. It's crazy. It's called genetic engineering. Okay, it's pretty interesting. So we are now done. Let me just review this. I know you're done writing, but there's a little picture I want you to look at. Okay, so don't stop the video yet. I can now, number one, describe that all organisms have DNA. So you know that all living things have DNA. Check. Number two, I can explain how all organisms are composed of the same building blocks of DNA. So you can say, oh, all living things are made up of the same thing. And then number three, I understand that all organisms share the same genetic code. So we all living things have the same genetic code, with the same letters, same phosphates, and everything, but it's in different order, different sequence. So I'm done, but I want you to look at this picture here. You're actually going to be learning today about glowing cats. So how can we, humans, right, scientists, can make glowing cats, right? Thanks, guys.